Be helpful at this point to sort of walk through a timeline of what's happened here, and we can bring in our aviation expert Glenn Farley to sort of walk us through when we first started hearing about this at about 8:15 tonight.
Right, so there's a lot that we don't know, but this is kind of what we've been able to reconstruct. So about that time, we are shortly afterward, we are hearing that basically somebody has stolen a plane from Sea-Tac, as hard as that is to believe. There are a lot of questions that are going to be obviously asked here. One was, did whoever took this airplane, who may have been a mechanic for Horizon Airlines, with some knowledge about getting this airplane started and up in the air and going, was there some was it obvious to air traffic controllers at this point that this individual just go for it? Did he try to file some sort of a flight plan? What was it? But it was apparently recognized pretty readily, so one would suspect that all of a sudden there's an airplane, it rolls onto the runway, who knows, maybe it took off from a taxiway, which is possible, and then just went, and then the alarm started going off. The other key player in all of this is the Western Air Defense Sector, which is on McChord Air Force Base. They are the people who follow, they're an Air Guard unit who basically protect the western half of the United States from the Canadian border, working with the Canadians. There are Canadians in there all the way to the Mexican border, and I can't remember how far east it goes, and they are just on duty all the time, 365, 24/7, looking for anything that looks out of place. So this obviously would have gone to them. The F-15s are typically based, I mean, they could have been at McChord that night, but they are typically based, another Air Guard unit, Oregon National Guard at Portland International Airport. There's a sizable unit down there at PDX. They have been scrambled in the past. We have been down there when they have been scrambled, and they ask us to leave the room. So that makes sense that they would have been coming out of PDX. Obviously, two of these airplanes, two of the F-15s, the Eagles, on this Q400 as it's flying around. We're trying to get a sense through FlightAware or elsewhere as to exactly what the flight path was of this airplane, and if that's possible. And then it obviously ends up crashing, potentially forced down, more likely crashing down on Ketron Island near Stillicum. So was it the intention to try to get it to crash in the water? Do we have a suicide situation on the part of the person? We don't know that. Again, there's a zillion questions, but you can see the live picture on Ketron Island right now. There's obviously a lot of flame. We had a picture up earlier that shows the smoke plume from a considerable distance away. Obviously, there was a lot of fuel on this airplane. Was it full? Was it half empty? There was obviously plenty enough to get a fire going there on Ketron Island.